Andy Mitten, are you ready for the new season?
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Just like, can you make it sound any more exciting than that?
I'm still jet lagged. I know you won't believe me, and I know I was.
We have a lot of first world problems on this show today. People spending too much money, being jet lagged, but you are tired.
Get your small violin out. I'm sure you're sympathetic. But yeah, I woke up at 3:10 this morning and couldn't get back to sleep. I thought that going to Dublin at the weekend and having a few pints of Guinness would sort of reset me, and it sort of did. But yeah, I'm back to square one now. But I am looking forward to it genuinely, and I'll be at Old Trafford on Monday night for Manchester United's first game against Wolves, and I'm pretty optimistic.
So if you have insomnia at 3 a.m, what's your tactic here? Do you like force yourself to try to sleep, or do you end up like everyone just going on their phone and making it worse?
It's complicated by 2 young kids who like getting up in the night, and I don't really have a tactic because I don't normally have this. I've not had jet lag for 4 or 5 years, and I'm surprised how much it hit me. But I'm not the only one. Some of the other people who flew back from the States last week are also struggling with it. So I'm just hoping that we'll get normalised. I've got to finish off the first United We Stand of the season by today, and I'm on deadline, and well, I've got to do it. I've got no other choice. I can't tell the printer that I'm jet lagged and can't send it to print, can I? So I've got to be done. I'm hoping I'm going to time myself out and then go to bed at one point and just sleep for 8 hours. That's my dream.
How was the Dublin experience then from your perspective, Andy? I know there's been a debate here. There's clearly some disappointed Irish fans, who weren't expecting the split friendlies, although I know Manchester United did the same thing last year, but just maybe the timing of announcements maybe jarred with some people. I mean, how was the occasion for you?
For me personally, I loved it. We did a gig at the Sugar Club on Saturday night, and that went well. I like the city a lot. I like the Guinness. Found a good pub called Hartigan's, I think.
Oh, what an absolute banger.
That's a good find.
Banger. Absolute banger. You'll never want to go anywhere else. And you went to the Sugar Club anyway.
And a group of gentlemen were just sat around a table, just jamming with their instruments. And I just thought, this is magnificent. And I spoke to one of them. He said, "Where are you from?" I said, "I'm from Manchester." And he said, "Give me 5 minutes." And then he started playing Matchstick Men in tribute to L.S. Lowry from Salford, and it was just wonderful. And
there's a real connection though with Northern English lads and Irish people. It just works.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I was with some friends as well, and we had a great time. You're pretty famous off the ball, Loads of people come up to me.
Well,
and
yeah,
was he going off the ball?
You know that.
So yeah, I realise that you don't get that when you're walking around San Diego. But your point about fans being unhappy, I wouldn't just say some. I got it non-stop. So I stood on Lansdowne Road selling United We Stand. Before the game against Lons on Saturday, I got wind of the team and I tweeted it's going to be a very strong team. And that just set people off because people then thought that it wouldn't be a strong team the following day at Dublin. And I quickly gathered that all the substitutes from Old Trafford would be starting in Dublin, but that didn't appease fans. And I understand why. People had paid a lot of money for the tickets at the Aviva. The game had sold out quickly. And after that had happened, United announced another friendly at Old Trafford. So a lot of people were on my case on social media to the point that I was going to tweet out and say, look, I don't pick the team. I'm with you. I hear what you're saying. And then stood on Lansdowne Road, absolutely hammered it down. So if you want another similarity with Northern England, it was raining, then it was sunny. We sold out of United We Stand in no time. Brilliant to meet Manchester United fans in real life.
So you brought over the fanzine and everything?
Yeah, and I was worried. I was worried on 2 levels. One, people told me that Irish people don't carry cash anymore, and our card readers don't work in the Republic of Ireland. And 2, we're allowed to sell anywhere as a printed publication, but in Dublin, I'm told that you need special street traders licenses.
Nah, don't mind that. Be grand.
So I was worried. So we brought copies over, and the police were fine with us. And we sold them in no time. We could have sold 4 times as many as we brought. And I really enjoyed it. So much interaction goes on online. So to stand on the street and have people coming up to you. One man came up to me with a copy of Issue 3 from February 1990.
Oh, wow.
How wonderful was that? It was just brilliant. And Dale, a United fan from Clonmel, he came up and helped us sell. So that was good. But, 90% of people were saying how disappointed they were with the expected lineup. And I think they're entitled to have that opinion. But the Aviva is a top stadium, and I was actually going to fly back to Bilbao with the Athletic Bilbao team. That had all been arranged, and it changed at the last minute. So the vast majority of the crowd were Manchester United fans. I saw the headlines about Harry Maguire being booed. I sat in the West Stand, and I wasn't in the media, and I actually thought he got more support than just where I was. And the game, it wasn't the best game ever. It had an exciting finish. It's not for me to say whether it was good value or not for the people who were there, but it illustrates just how popular Manchester United are in Dublin and the Republic of Ireland, to sell that big stadium out so quickly. And when I was looking at that stadium, and I have been before, and when I've seen the stadiums on the US tour, I'm thinking, Old Trafford, I really love it, but there's no leg room in comparison to here. The architecture's not as good as here. So I've absorbing information on all different levels. Ten Hag came, he brought his team. Athletic Club were always going to be technically good as well. Look, it wasn't the best game ever, but I still came away from it touched by the enthusiasm and the passion of Manchester United fans I came across.
What age are you, Andy?
Riding feeling.
What age are you now?
49.
So Dan and I are, shall we say, the other side of, we're in our 40s now. We're actually all in our 40s. We're 40. The level of Premier League saturation when I was a kid is phenomenal, and this is still a thing where Manchester United can sell out that quickly. And Manchester United was, when I was a kid, was Eric Cantona was possibly almost and Roy Keane. These are the biggest personalities in sport when I was a kid, and it still exists, Dan. And these are, I don't know, it's Man United is still a massive thing.
No, it is. No, and listen, and we spoke about poor Andy. Come on, let's not have the same discussion again. I think just the disappointment for the fans at the weekend was, even I think the game in Old Trafford on Saturday was priced in a very different way. They made a big deal of it, and as I said, I knew people who actually flew over, to that, and it worked out better. But it still doesn't matter. I think if there was another game announced in Dublin in the morning, it would still sell out. Even if some people might be a little bit more guarded about maybe wanting to know a little bit more about who might possibly play. But there's no denying that great love, the great love that exists. I just think, I would have said some of the fans travelling from outside of Dublin would nearly be better putting that money towards the trip to Manchester in future, unless there's guarantees around these games. But look, you can't tell people, maybe loads of people that were there, despite that, still had a very good time, even if they were very disappointed travelling up. But I suppose the bigger picture, Andy, is a week out from the season, how is the fan base feeling generally about where things are headed? Okay.
I think they're backing the manager. They're satisfied with the signings so far. The attention has switched more to probable outgoings now. Manchester United need money and spent a lot on the free players who've signed so far. Wolves at home, Manchester United really should be winning that game. The season starts slowly. It's a game per week as opposed to two per week, which we saw pretty much from after the World Cup finished. So there's a game at Wolves, there's a game against Forest, against Tottenham. I spoke to lots of people on the tour, spoke to lots of players, and they are confident, genuinely confident. I'm sure they would have said they were confident a year ago, and then they lost the opening two games against Brighton and Brentford. But I believe that the team is better than a year ago. All sorts of questions. Rasmus Højlund, how is he going to do? Who's going to start? Has Mason Mount done enough to start? Who's going to be the right back out of Aaron Wan-Bissaka and Diogo Dalot? I don't think those questions have been decided yet by the manager, but I think Manchester United are in pretty good shape, and Wolves at home should be a good start to the season for the team.
What would constitute a good season this year?
Good question, and I'm just sort of formulating my answer to that, but I have been thinking about it a lot, and I'm going to say more points than last year in the league, more goals, another cup, and a decent run in the Champions League. But with a fair wind, you never know. I also think that rivals are going to be stronger. I think Liverpool won't be as bad as last season. Neither will Chelsea. Tottenham look like they've got a good attack-minded manager. Manchester City will clearly be favourites once again. So Ten Hag made Old Trafford a fortress last year. Manchester United have got to improve away from home against the good teams, and I spoke to several players about that, and they know that's the one area where United have got to be more consistent within matches, and let's see if that happens. There's a game against Tottenham coming up. Although actually Tottenham were the only team in the top 9 who didn't beat Manchester United at home last season because, it's Tottenham.
Or are Tottenham any different this season, your perspective? The Kane thing is kind of rumbling on. Looks like he's going to stay now.
Yeah, it does. He was Eric Ten Hag's first choice target towards the end of the season, but United looked at the probable wage cost of Harry Kane, as well as the transfer fee, as well as what they thought would be Tottenham's reluctance to sell to a rival, and just thought, we do not want a whole summer chasing a player like we did with Frenkie de Jong a year ago. So United looked at Rasmus Højlund. There wasn't a huge number of strikers to go for, and also switched attention to Andre Onana, one of the 4 goalkeepers Manchester United were looking at, but he was the first choice, and he came in. Told he's making a good impression, although he was lobbed at the weekend against Lens. Get your mistakes out of the way early. So it's a big, important season, but Ten Hag genuinely has the support of the fans and of the players, and I spoke to enough of them to know that that is the case, but he's going to be judged by results and performances.
Combined 60 million West Ham bid from Maguire and McTominay is quite interesting.
It's very interesting. It's starting to look like a serious bid, isn't it? When I saw a bid of 20 million, I thought there's no way Manchester United are going to sell for that, a player who costs so much. But when you start going 50, 60, and you look at it from the player's perspective, they will be thinking, am I going to play? And the answer is probably not, unless there's going to be injuries, but not just one injury, 2, 3 or 4 injuries. And they're both good players who can play Premier League football. Harry Maguire and Scott McTominay are both internationals, very important ones for Scotland, for England. They need to be playing football. We've got the European Championships next year. All along, Harry said he wants to stay at United and fight for his place, and I'm sure on the record he would say that as well, because he's got a contract, and I don't think any rival club will be paying him what he's on at Manchester United. But let's be realistic. I would say that both of those players would move on. And West Ham do have money as well, because they got all that cash in for Declan Rice. So I think we'll see more activity in the transfer market. And if those two go and Manchester United get some serious money in, then we may see some more incoming players to Old Trafford. Just
briefly, from Manchester United perspective, how disappointed are you haven't gotten Rice?
Well, he's very good, isn't he? Don't know how good he is. I interviewed him a couple of years ago. I thought he was a pretty switched on lad.
Was this before or after he abandoned Ireland?
Yeah, I know. I saw that. I didn't want to tread near that delicate diplomatic issue and just remind you.
Find him in Hartigans.
He won't be going to Hartigans anytime soon.
No.
Yeah, I'm not. It's not one of them where you're thinking we've really, really missed out there. But I know he's a very good player. But yeah, it's not a big deal for United fans.
Last one for you, Andy. I wanted to bring you in on this just from the perspective of what the reaction is over here. This is the back of the Sun. Time bomb, RAF rage, dangerous new rules, KDB added. Minutes don't make sense. I genuinely do wonder sometimes, do the people running the game give any crap whatsoever about the players who actually play it, who are totally overworked, who basically are asked to do this ridiculous roster and now have an extra 10% on top all of a sudden?
Money triumphs every single time, and always has done. And it was pretty uncharacteristic of Rafa Varane to come out and say that. I think he's right in saying that. and maybe he knows his own body better than most players, and he knows he can't be playing 2 games a week. He's someone who's picked up a lot of injuries, but there will be more and more demands put on players because money will see out, and the pushback from clubs or authorities, well, you're getting paid a huge amount of money. But I'm with the players on this one. And we saw at the weekend in the Championship in England, games were lasting 22 minutes longer. We saw it in the World Cup final. I'm not sure what it was like in Ireland. I was going to go to Shamrock Rovers on Sunday, but it was just a bit too close to the finish of the game of the Aviva. But I will be back to see them.
You're an absolute legend, Andy. You're like, because
an extra hour, definitely. That was the kick-off time, 4 till 6.
Hour.
7 would have been okay.
We need to get you to a Friday night game, because that's when like the Sunday games they just don't have quite the same. But I guarantee you will love a League of Ireland game.
I've heard all about them. I know and respect the rivalries. And touching on what you said earlier, when Man United used to come over in the 90s, I saw them play at places like Shelbourne. Although I was told it's Shells, and anyone who says Shelbourne is posh. I was corrected at the weekend on that one. So, I know about the rivalry, St Patrick's, Bohemians, and I know that there's a very rich football culture there. And I see some shots of the atmosphere, and I really respect it. I know English football is really well supported in the Republic of Ireland, but I think it's also important that the domestic league does well. And I keep an eye on it. Cork City, I saw Dundalk a few years ago. I know there's been some pretty compelling stories there.
Yeah, Dan actually brought his mother for her 80th birthday to the Shelbourne Hotel, which is this posh shop in town. When it's my mother's turn, she'll either be going to watch Shelbourne or she'll be going to watch the dogs at Shelbourne Park. First, after... sorry, lost my train of thought here. Thanks, Andy.
Thank you.